Hey everybody, it's Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is Saturday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. If I'm reading my watch right, it's been kind of a busy day, so God knows it could be 10 o'clock at night, and I might not notice other than the fact that it is light outside still. We have been busy. You'll be glad to know if you ordered a share from me, it is ready to go out on Monday morning. We couldn't get it done by noon today, sorry. So being that it's Saturday, we missed the post office, but we will put it out first thing Monday morning. And it looked to me like most of the transit times were, just 3 days or less. So if you've ordered a share, get ready. You should have it by midweek. So let me go ahead and just double check off to the side here that I am actually transmitulating. Let's see what we got. Ah, yes, I see. And we've got some folks watching. Hey, Trudy. Hi, Linda and Holly and Denise. And if I missed you before I got here, I'm sorry. Hey, Karen from Tucson. Hi, Trudy. Glad that you could join me. I appreciate you. Alrighty. So this is the card that I did a sneak peek of this morning. And it uses two really beautiful sets from the holiday catalog. First, let me show it to you, if you can see it. I hope you can see it. You can see this deer. Now, this deer, I got to tell you, looks just like the mama deer that looks at us that way pretty much every day. Sometimes she and the babies go scampering off, but I really believe it's purely for form and because she's trying to teach the babies rightly enough that they should be leery of humans. That is a true thing. They need to be leery of humans. I'm so glad you and other demos pointed out this nature's beauty. Yeah, it is really nice. Let me show it to you. You can see it doesn't have any sentiments, so you can put whatever you like with it. And it is not so all-fired Christmassy that you would have to do Christmas cards with it. That's what I did today, but it's Christmas in September, and I'm thinking Christmas right now. So, but you got a cute bunny and a fox and this beautiful deer, like I said, who could be the double of the one that looks at me every morning, and some trees and a little bit of snow and a little bit of grass. So we're going to use that as kind of the artwork, and I also pulled out the gorgeous Peaceful Boughs stamp set with its coordinating Beautiful Boughs dies and some those that are stuck. So here are the dies that we have. I just used this die set to make some pine boughs and also this smaller one and then some pine cones. So like I said, this is the card that we're making. Let's see, made it thanks to the alarm. I'm so glad you set an alarm, Mary. Thank you so much. I appreciate that a lot. All right. And then on the inside, we have the pretty sentiment from Peaceful Boughs. And I very, very, very lightly stamped the deer. I mean, that's like stamped off twice before I stamped the card. So we'll get done with that. And it's in a very pretty color scheme for this time of year, I think, with the crumb cake and early espresso and some real red and shaded spruce. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? All right, let me put this where I can see it. Okay, now before we started, I did a little bit of cutting because really there's only so many times you can watch me cut, right? I mean, serious. And this will all be on the blog tomorrow. Hey, Brooke. Hey, Janie. Hi, Sue and Judy. Appreciate y'all joining. Okay, so you can see my color palette here. I've got a real red card base, basic size 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded at 5 1/2. I have a couple of early espresso mats, and then I have a couple of crumb cake panels. If you remember the sample that I just showed you, I used crumb cake on the inside. Sometimes I like to do that. Hi, Donna from Saskatchewan. Glad to see you from Canada. Appreciate that. And I'm glad you're having a beautiful fall day. We are apparently having, what is it when it's the dog days of summer? Isn't that what happens when summer just refuses to give up? It's like in the mid-90s today here. It's really quite yucky, actually. It was a good day to stay inside and cut shares. Trying to find a local friend who wants the Peaceful Boughs stamps. I want the dies, but I have tons of stamps. There you go. That's a good idea, Tanya. Share the cost. All right, because this is what you can cut out with the Peaceful Boughs die set. These are shaded spruce, and these are the kind of medium Boughs die. And you can see I didn't get all of my hanging chads out of there. Get those out right quick like a bunny. And then it has 2 sizes of pine cones, which I like. And I started with the larger one, and it was a little overpowering, so I went with the smaller. And I cut the detailed pine cone, and obviously didn't push the little doohahs out. Duh. I cut the detailed pine cone with early espresso, and the backing portion, the solid die, is crumb cake. So I really stayed kind of true to my color scheme. I did briefly consider using like a foil for the detailed, but I decided not to for this card. I liked kind of the more natural look. Right? Okay. Blasted hot after Dorian passed it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dorian, I'm telling you what, Dorian, it was a pain in the hindquarters. That boy could not figure out what he was doing, and he went a little overboard, I'm just saying. You know, I mean, cat 4, cat 5, cat 3, cat 2, cat 1, cat 2, cat 2, cat 2. Yeah, it was crazy. Crazy, crazy. I'm hoping he stays going now, and I'm hoping they've got another one down there in the over in the Atlantic that looks like it's trying to build up again. So hopefully it won't do what Doriano did. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to just quit the yakking, for goodness sake. I'm tired, I think, and so I might yak my way through this just to, stay awake. So, all right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crumb cake panel for the card front, and I'm going to use not Sahara sand. I am not using Sahara sand. Put that back. All right. Hey, Kathy. Glad you could join. Hi, Carol. Appreciate you coming on. Hope things are doing okay up in the Baltimore area. So I've got the pretty bow set stamp from Peaceful Boughs, and I'm going to stamp all over my card front with crumb cake on crumb cake. So you get kind of that tone-on-tone look, which I like. It's a nice way to add a little interest to your card front and card stock without getting really overpowering. Nobody likes to be overpowering, right? And there's not particularly any rhyme or reason, as you can tell by the complete and total lack of rhyme and reason. But that is all there is to that. Okay, now I have used the largest circle die in the stitch shape framelits, and that is going to be the mat for my deer. So let's go ahead first and get our deer image going. And I've got a piece of crumb cake, and what I'm going to do is I am going to, in early espresso that I'm going to stamp off once, I'm going to stamp the deer right in the middle of this panel, and I'm doing it in the middle so that I've got plenty of room to cut out my circle. Okay, and you can see she fades out kind of a little bit, and that's fine. I'm going to do something. Let me just do a little experimenting here and see what I think. Okay, we're going to experiment. Hey, Janelle, appreciate you coming. All right. What I've done now is I'm just stamping him again, or her again, in full strength espresso. And you know what? I kind of like that better. I'm going to go with that on this one, I think. All right. That's what I'm going to go with on this one. Now, I took the kind of, I don't want to say weed because that has kind of a negative connotation, but let's just say wintry grasses image. That's what it looks like. And in crumb cake, I'm just going to stamp that around her feet so that she looks like she's kind of standing in the grasses. And a lot of that will be cut off, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take the snow from Peaceful Boughs, this image right here, and I'm going to stamp that around her in stamped off once crumb cake, okay? So just very lightly to give just the idea that it is snowing where she is, which apparently is never going to be here, which is fine with me. So this is apparently not my deer that I thought it was. Okay, so there's my little deer image. Hopefully everybody can see that. Hi, Belinda. Thank you, Laura. Hello from North Dakota. All right, so now I'm going to take that exact same circle die, and I'm going to cut her out. And it's obviously going to be a smaller image, and so I'm going to lose some of her, but that's fine. That's kind of part of the charm. So hang tight, because I think you know that I am just cutting out a circle, and I'm pretty sure y'all know how to cut out a circle in your big shot. All right, so hang on just a second while I cut her out, and I promise it'll be the one and only time, unless I screw something up, it'll be the one and only time I'm off screen. All right, and we're back with her all ready to go. Okay, so let's do a little assembling. First off, I'm going to, oh dear, brown snow. Yeah, 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 I see what you guys did there. Brown snow, yeah. All right, I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue to mat my crumb cake card front on my early espresso mat, like a so. All right. Now I might have lied. I may have to go off screen one more time, or I'll bring the Mr. Big Shot over, one or the other. We'll see what happens here. Okay, now I'm just adhering the early espresso circle, and this is a sketch. This, I think, is freshly made sketches, I think, maybe. So that's why this circle is offset, although I do kind of like how that looks, I do. And then I'm going to put her right there in the middle, like that. Oh, she's so pretty. She's so pretty. Pretty dear, pretty dear. All right, now let's pull out a sentiment, shall we? And we're going to stamp that with our Stamp-N-Lingers. Yeah, Laura, these are both such pretty sets. I really do love them quite a lot. I mean, you know me. If you guys know me, you know that I kind of like pine cones and things with pines. So, you know, this Peaceful Pines just did it for me right off the bat. All right, now I'm going to use the Stamp-N-Lingers to stamp my sentiment so that I can make sure I get a nice solid image. And then I'm going to cut it out with the really cute tag die in the Beautiful Boughs. I love Beautiful Boughs because it gives you two pretty tags. See, this one is the smaller sentiment. That's what we're going to use today. And then you've got this large one that actually the large sentiment in Peaceful Boughs will fit right in. So it's kind of perfect. That means you can use this gorgeous, you can use this very easily as a front sentiment even, which I like. A little bit of versatility. That's cool. Okay, let's go ahead and get that stamped. I'm going to stamp it again just so it's a little darker. A little darker. Uh-oh. I hope I'm not freezing. Yeah, you know, the silver delicata might have worked. That would be, if you wanted to add a little metallic in there, Tanya, that's no kidding. That would be very pretty. Very, very pretty. You could use silver, or I might even go with copper on this one, just because I'm kind of liking that toned down crumb cake look. I like the vintagey look, so I might use the copper delicata ink. But you know, that's just me, and you guys obviously can do what makes you happy when you look at your card, because that's kind of the idea. Uh-oh. I'm so sorry if there's people who are freezing. I don't see anything frozen on my end, but that means nothing. It means nothing. Absolutely nothing. All right, I'm just going to cut this out. I know I lied. And said I wouldn't go off screen again. And now look at me. Within moments, I'm back off screen. Goodness gracious. You know, you'd have thought my time in the military would have taught me not to lie like that, huh? But, sorry, I'm back. See? So quick, so easy. Such a simple little sentiment. Okay. All right. And now I do think I have everything cut out, so let's just go ahead and assemble, shall we? let's do it. I think it's a Facebook thing. I'm starting to think that many things are Facebook things, and it's really kind of annoying. So, as I always recommend, I like to dry fit first to be sure that I know kind of what I'm doing. Not that dry fitting means I'm going to know what I'm doing, but sometimes that works. This morning when I made this actually yesterday, I didn't dry fit. I didn't think it through very good, so I added the vellum leaves kind of at the last second, like after I had adhered everything else. So I did some cutting and some shoving and some picking up of stuff. Yeah, it wasn't well thought out, but this one is, because I've already done it. See, hello? Okay. And then we're going to put that right there like that. I'm going to pull this to the left, I think. A little bit more. All right. I do love those boughs in the vellum, don't you? I think they make they kind of lighten up the whole card, I think. There we go. Okay, I like that right there. As I've said before, I would, if I was making this where my phone wasn't busy being the video, I would now at this point take a picture of this so that I knew what I had decided was my pretty set. So as I'm doing it now, what I did is I just picked up the entire bow set, because I'm at least together enough to know it's going to go back about right there. Okay, so I'm just going to put some liquid glue on the back, and especially on the vellum, I'm making sure I keep my liquid glue where it's going to be covered up, okay? Because liquid glue does show through. You know what doesn't show through very, very good is glue dots. So if you have vellum that you need to adhere and you can't really hide it, consider using glue dots, because you can actually kind of conceal them. Okay, I'm just kind of holding this for just a second. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, people. I appreciate you. I was happy with this one. I really love the combination of things in this set. Now I'm going to pick this up because I can put that back. We'll pick this up like that and just get a little bit of liquid glue on the stems so that it will all stay in place, because you just don't want your pine boughs going every which way from Sunday. No, you want them staying where you think they're beautiful. There we go. Okay, everything is kind of getting stickerated there. Kathy, have you gotten your special bundle yet? That's probably pretty quick. I hope you get them soon and have fun with them. I do. Okay, now we're going to add this. You guys do have only a few more days. What is today, the 7th? You've only got like 7 or 8 days to get in on the special bundles. And they are a good deal. Kathy, do you think they're a good deal? Give us a yes, I think it's a good deal, or no, I think it's a terrible deal. I just bought them to be nice. I think they're a pretty good deal. They're a really good way to kind of get the new goodies into your tool box without just completely breaking the bank. Okay, now I'm going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals. Yeah, that's one way you can certainly do it, you know. So if you've got reverse tweezers, you are, in my humble opinion, yes, I'm humble, in my humble opinion, if you've got reverse tweezers, you are halfway there to making things work perfectly. I'm going to do a little more. These little guys are just going crazy. I think they'll lay down a little better once we adhere them once they get a little bit of control from the sentiment. All right. Here we go. Yes, see, I use full dimensionals. I don't cut them in half unless I need them to be smaller because of my design. I am a full dimensional girl. Probably goes with my full figured self. All right, there we go. And see, actually, I'm kind of glad I didn't get carried away hooking those down, because I like them sitting up. I like those vellum pine boughs sitting up a little bit. Second order should only be a day or two later. Yeah, I hope so, Kathy. I hope it'll come soon. It should come pretty soon. My first order from the holiday catalog is coming Monday. Yep. They're a great deal, and I didn't have a demo, and I was in the U.S. I'd get some. Thanks, Tanya. I wish you were in the U.S. I'd share my pine boughs with you, too. Okay, while that kind of sits and thinks about itself for a second, I'm going to put my my little detailed pine cones on top of my solid pine cones. It's really quite amazing how quickly just doing this makes it look like real pine cones. I mean, seriously, they really, I really like the pine cone dies in this set. I don't always love them. Sometimes they, in my opinion, they aren't terribly realistic looking, but I think these are really good. I like these a lot. And again, I think this would be really pretty. So let's just think about what Tanya said. What if I did use the copper delicata to make my snow? I would absolutely consider using copper foil for the delicate, for these detailed dies for the pine cones. And I would probably still put them in front of crumb cake, or I might put one in front of crumb cake and one in front of early espresso. So I would have copper and copper on crumb cake and early espresso. Maybe. I don't know. But I kind of like the idea of using the foil too. That makes it very pretty. Alrighty. Now all we're going to do is use a few. Thank you, Faith. Appreciate you rushing to see me. I do appreciate that quite a bit. All right, now I'm going to take my mini dimensionals that I now cannot find. Wait a minute. There they are. And I'm going to use them to adhere my pine cones. All right. I'm going to put them like that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mini dimensional on the outside of this pine cone and use a little liquid glue on the other side so that it adheres to the sentiment like that. Oh, you know what? I probably should take the cover off the dimensional. It'll be a lot stickier that way. Just saying. A lot stickier if you take the covers off the dimensionals. And on the other one, it's going to lay over the top. So again, I'm going to put a dimensional on the outside, and I'm just using a small one. And I'm putting it right against the outside edge. And then I'll use liquid glue on the inside. Hey, Vicky. Appreciate you coming. All right. Alrighty, and there we go. There's our two little Pinecones. And then to finish off, I'm going to tie a little bow with some of the new Real Red curly ribbon. And guys, straight up, this is yarn. Let's be real. Let's call it what it is. Let's call a yarn a yarn. It is yarn, but I think it's kind of fun with this particular card, actually. And we're going to use a glue dot right here at the top of that pine cone, right there, stay. And then we're going to strategically place that red bow. Aw, isn't that so pretty? And because I can, and because I do like them, thank you, Denise. Yeah, Daryl, you need this set. Just saying, both of them, really. I'm going to use a red rhinestone basic jewel by my sentiment, just to give it just the tiniest little bit of balang. Balang chakalaka. All right, and so there we have our card front. Let's set that aside real quick and get our innards done. Okay, let me pull the Stamparatus back out. And I'm going to show you kind of how I did this lineup. I didn't take it off because it's so better. It is totally yarn, not ribbon. It totally is yarn. You are correct. I'm just going to place my panel, and you can see it's a little offset, so I'm going to move the panel over a little bit, and that's going to look good. So I know that I'm going to line up with this line, and you'll be able to find it. What I do is I've got the laminated graph paper. So I'm going to stamp the graph paper. Thank you, Patricia. Thanks, Laura. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the graph pad. Did I say stamp? Yes, it is. Stamp the graph pad. And that way I can tell that my sentiment, let's see if you can see that. My sentiment is straight and will be straight because it's lining up with the grid. Can you see that? The grid is straight, the words are straight, the sentiment is straight. Okay? All right. So let me go ahead and wipe that off and just give it a little dry. And I just roll this down like this just to make sure that it's still where I want it on the panel. And then because I'm away from the corner, put my magnets on. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I'm going to do it again so that it's a little darker. And I'm going to even do it one more time. Might need to juicify my ink pad. Okay, now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. God, you got to love the Stamparatus. Just keep stamping until it's as dark as you want it to be. Got to love it. I do love it so much. Okay, so let's pick this up and put this aside. And we're going to get our deer again. Now this time I am going to stamp the deer in crumb cake instead of early espresso. It was early espresso on the front. It's going to be crumb cake here because I want it really light. And I'm just really kind of going for the idea that the deer is there. So I'm stamping her off. I'm going to stamp her twice and just barely touch her over the sentiment. Can you see her? She's just barely there. And that was what I wanted. And then I'm going to do the same with the pine boughs. Again in crumb cake. Again stamping her off twice. And then just barely touching over the sentiment like that. So there you can see she's in the pines, barely behind that sentiment. All right. I like to think she's the spirit of peace, gently filling your heart. Okay, never mind. I'm killing myself, yeah. All right, hey Cindy, welcome. Thank you for joining. All right, now just gonna finish this off and use a little liquid glue to put it on our early espresso card mat. Okay. And I spent a little time considering whether I should add a red rhinestone in here. You could certainly do that. I'd probably put it like right there if I was doing it, but I decided to stay with the woodsier look. So again, that's just me, and you could certainly do however works in your little world. Yes, Janie, I do believe you need both of these sets. I do believe it. I'm really, really hoping that I would like them both to carry over. Oops, let's put it in right side up, Mary. Stop your yakking. Put it in upside right. I would really love to see the Nature's Beauty carry over, but if I can only pick one, I really, really hope that the Peaceful Boughs bundle carries over to the next catalog. That would be so amazing. Okay, now in a wanton display of overabundance of Stampin' Dimensionals, I'm adding an entire 9 full-size, completely whole, unadulterated Stampin' Dimensionals to my card front. And you know what? I think I'll put my lid on there so that it doesn't all dry up. And we'll take these off. And then it'll be time to play with our envelope, and we'll be done. Yay! One of your shares even joined in. Yay! So glad. Thank you, Eunice. Yes, that deer, it's like I said at the beginning, she looks just like the mama that hangs around our place. And the mama, she looks at us just like that. Like, I think we're supposed to be afraid, but We're really not, which is bad because our neighbors are hunters, and I hope they don't find them when the deer season starts. I guess they can hunt does. I guess you get a tag or something to hunt does. I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead and pop this on the front like so. And there we have another beautiful Christmas card using Nature's Beauty and the Peaceful Boughs bundle. Let me finish up the envelope for you, and then we'll be done. We'll be done, Skay. And I've got a very vanilla envelope, and I'm going to recreate the snowy scene with Mama Deer on the front. Right after I find my crumb caking. There it is. What in the world? Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. So let's go ahead and stamp Mama, and I'm doing her full strength. We'll stamp Mama on the front of the card. And then we're going to stamp some full strength brown snow and I may do a couple in where I stamp twice without re-inking. And I'm going to stamp off once and stamp like that. And then we'll add the little grasses around her little bottom. 4 more dimensionals. You're right. You're probably right. You are absolutely probably right. I don't have enough. Hopefully it will stay on the card. And then we'll put these I really like those. I like it with her standing in those grasses, don't you? I do. Okay, and then on the envelope flap, I'm going to stamp my pine boughs because I didn't use a DSP, so I'm going to kind of make my own. And I'm just using the crumb cake again and kind of adding the pine boughs on the envelope flap. There we go. Et voila! There she is. All done skis. Oh yeah, that's the thing is they are going to eat your garden if they can get to it. We've been very lucky. They come very close to the house. They come up to the garden, but I've really seen very little predation on it. So apparently whatever I've planted and the weeds that are currently growing there are not very enticing, but I am sure she was devastated. That's horrible. All right, folks, there we have it. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you will consider adding this to your stash. Please look at the special bundles. There's only a week left, and then I'm going to be turning them off. And also, don't forget the buy 3, get 1 free DSP. All right, folks, I appreciate you all very much. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your weekend and a great week. And, now I was going to say, let me just say this before I head off. Next Saturday, we have an event down in Macon that will be all day. So I may not be able to do a video. I may not be home in time to do a video next Saturday. So just watch the blog and I will let you know as we get closer whether I'm going to be on or not. So I'll either see you next week or the weekend after that. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.